Welcome back to Legacy Contracts, and if this is your first time here, we're glad you found us. This channel exists for attorneys who sense that something beneath the surface of their firm isn't quite working, even if it's hard to name. Here, we look beyond surface-level efficiency and into the invisible systems shaping how your firm operates, serves clients, and sustains growth. Through practical insight and honest conversation, we help bring clarity to what's often overlooked, so you can lead with intention, not assumption. If you're interested in building a law firm that's not just functional but thoughtfully designed, you're in the right place. Let's begin. When law firm leaders think about expensive problems, they usually think about obvious ones: a missed deadline, a lost client, a staffing shortage, a malpractice claim, a compliance issue. Those are the problems everyone notices immediately because they create visible consequences. But in our experience supporting law firms, the problems costing firms the most money are often not the ones anyone is paying attention to. They're the quiet problems, the operational issues that seem small, normal, routine, easy to work around. And because they don't feel urgent, they often remain unresolved for months or even years. The reality is that some of the most expensive operational issues inside a law firm rarely announce themselves. Instead, they slowly drain time, capacity, profitability, and leadership attention until they become part of the firm's culture. Today, we want to talk about why those quiet problems become some of the most expensive issues inside growing law firms, and what you can do to identify them before they become larger obstacles to growth. Why quiet problems are so dangerous. Most operational challenges don't begin as crises. They begin as moments: a delayed approval, an unanswered email, a task sitting in someone's inbox, a staff member waiting for direction, a responsibility that no one fully owns, a decision that gets postponed until someone has time to address it. Individually, none of these events seem significant. Most leaders would look at them and think, that's not a major issue. And they're right. The individual event usually isn't the issue. The issue is repetition. Operational strain compounds over time. Imagine a 5-minute delay happening 10 times per day. That doesn't seem like much until you realize it's happening every day, every week, every month, across multiple team members. Now multiply that by an entire year. What began as a minor inconvenience becomes hundreds of hours of lost productivity, not because of one event, because of repetition. And that's how quiet operational problems become expensive. The operational iceberg. One way we like to think about this is through what we're calling the operational iceberg. At the top of the iceberg are the symptoms firms notice: slow growth, staff frustration, delayed workflows, client complaints, leadership burnout, and reduced profitability. These are visible. Everyone sees them. But underneath the surface are the causes: undefined ownership, unclear authority, inconsistent processes, poor workflow visibility, lack of accountability structures, and decision bottlenecks. Most firms spend their energy addressing the visible symptoms. Very few spend time examining the structure beneath them. As a result, the same problems continue to return. How firms normalize operational friction. One of the biggest reasons these issues survive is because everyone adapts. Human beings are incredibly adaptable. Teams learn workarounds. Managers compensate. Leadership fills the gaps. People create informal systems to keep work moving. And eventually, the inefficiency becomes normal. You'll hear phrases like, "That's just how we've always done it." "Everyone knows to check with leadership first." "It takes a little longer, but that's just our process." Someone usually follows up eventually. Those statements sound harmless, but they're often indicators that operational friction has become embedded in the culture. The firm is functioning. But it's functioning around the problem instead of solving it. And that's an important distinction, because a workaround is not the same thing as a solution. The hidden cost of leadership intervention. This brings us to one of the most common patterns we see in growing law firms. Managing partners are exceptional problem solvers. It's one of the reasons they became successful. When something goes wrong, they step in. When a decision needs to be made, they make it. When communication breaks down, they fix it. When a workflow stalls, they move it forward. Initially, this feels helpful. But over time, something subtle begins to happen. Leadership becomes the safety net. Every unclear decision flows upward. Every ownership gap flows upward. Every accountability issue flows upward. Every bottleneck flows upward. And eventually, leadership becomes the operational system. The firm appears stable. But the stability is being created by leadership intervention rather than operational structure. That creates dependency. And dependency limits growth. Because every hour leadership spends solving recurring operational problems is an hour not spent on client relationships, business development, strategic planning, team development, and long-term growth. The firm works, but only because leadership keeps holding everything together. What these problems actually cost. Now let's talk about what these issues actually cost law firms, because many firms underestimate the financial impact. The cost doesn't usually appear on a report labeled operational friction. Instead, it appears in other places. Lower conversion rates because intake follow-up isn't consistent. Delayed client communication because no one owns the process. Reduced billable capacity because attorneys are answering operational questions. Slower case progression because decisions are sitting in approval queues. Increased employee frustration because responsibilities aren't clearly defined. Leadership burnout because managing partners are carrying work the system should support. Reduced profitability because inefficiencies exist throughout the workflow. Most firms see these symptoms. Few connect them back to the operational structures creating them. That's why the same challenges continue returning year after year. The symptom gets addressed. The system does not. 5 questions every managing partner should ask. If you're listening to this and wondering whether these patterns exist inside your firm, ask yourself 5 questions. First, do important decisions frequently come back to leadership for approval? Second, are team members unclear about who owns recurring responsibilities? Third, does accountability depend on reminders and follow-up? Fourth, do the same operational problems continue reappearing? And fifth, would work continue moving effectively if leadership stepped away for a week? These questions often reveal more about a firm's operational health than traditional performance metrics, because they help identify where strain is forming beneath the surface. The first step toward fixing it. The first step is visibility. Before accountability improves, before delegation improves, before workflow efficiency improves, you need visibility. You need to understand where operational strain is forming. You need to understand where decisions are getting stuck, where ownership is unclear, where accountability depends on intervention, where capacity is stretched. Most firms don't need more effort. They need greater clarity, because clarity allows leaders to see what effort alone cannot solve. And once something becomes visible, it can be improved. A better question. Instead of asking, "Why does this keep happening?" try asking, "What system is allowing this to happen repeatedly?" That shift changes everything, because it moves the conversation away from blame and toward structure. And structure is where sustainable improvement happens. If your firm is experiencing recurring operational challenges, leadership overload, delegation breakdowns, workflow bottlenecks, or accountability issues, the problem may not be the one you're currently looking at. It may be operating quietly beneath the surface. That's exactly why we created the firm assessment. The assessment helps identify where visibility, ownership, authority, accountability, and capacity are breaking down inside your firm, and where operational strain is beginning to form before it becomes a larger issue. You can learn more on our website, link in the description. And if you found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe for more conversations on law firm operations, accountability, delegation, leadership capacity, and sustainable law firm growth. We also hosted our webinar, Structural Accountability by Design, and the replay is available now on our channel if you'd like to continue the conversation. We hope today's insight helped bring clarity to something that may have been operating quietly in the background of your firm. Progress doesn't always start with doing more. It often starts with seeing more clearly. Law firms aren't built overnight. They're shaped by the decisions you make once the invisible becomes visible. This is Legacy Contracts, and until next time, keep leading with clarity.